I think a lot of people create a product and do some marketing, create a cool logo, and think that they've done it, that they've created a brand. The reality is, a brand is so much more than just your product, your logo, and your marketing. The brand is that all-encompassing, holistic vision of what it is that you're actually doing. It encompasses everything from your values, your mission statement, how you interact with your customers, the ethos behind why and how you make your products. The brand is this broad, like, worldly construct. I can see now that I've just been riffing for a while, and who knows?
3,
who knows what'll happen
2,
from that?
1. Welcome to the machine.
Welcome to Beyond the Box with Ben. I'm Ben, and today we're going to be talking about brand. Brand! Brand. Oh, actually for you, today we're going to be talking about brand.
Brand.
Do you actually think that it's going to show up there?
Good.
But it might not. Who's here? Before we get into the nitty-gritty about brand and branding, what we need to know is, why is this actually important? Well, I think a lot of people conceptualize this as saying, well, I've created my product, I've done my marketing, I've got a cool logo, I've got a brand, right? Wrong. That's not a brand. Those are elements that comprise your brand, but your brand is so much more than just those simple things. It encompasses everything from your mission statement, your values, your ethos, how you make your products, how you treat your customers, how you interact with people, what people perceive of you. It's so much more than just 3 little things.
It's so much more.
At the end of the no. Your brand also influences the elements that your brand also In fact, your brand will influence the colors that you use for your logo, how your logo is designed, how you market your products. Your brand is a major influencer of all of those elements. Major influencer. You might have a very clear idea of what your brand is because of why you started making your product, how you started selling it, and that story that exists in your own head. Your brand is a place to share that story and to bring other people into it so that they know exactly what it is you stand for, why you're doing this whole thing. A lot of the times we'll reference these massive brands for examples of what good brand identity looks like. Brands like Patagonia or, Coca-Cola and Nike, the big players. You can still have a brand identity no matter what your size. Now, not all brands need a full brand strategy, but you do need to put time and effort into identifying what your brand is all about and then sharing that with your customers. Nice. So now that we know why brand and brand identity is important, I'll go through some of the components that contribute directly to having a strong brand identity. So first, we'll talk about your brand vision. Your brand vision is the big picture. This is what you're thinking about when you think about 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Why did you start the company, and what's the end goal? Having a brand vision can help you align your goals and make sure that you're always striving for that point in the distance. Now, a part of that is the mission statement. To differentiate from vision, a mission statement is the how. It's what we're doing on a day-to-day basis that's going to get us to that stage. Let's take an example, and let's use an obvious example like NOISSUE. Our vision is to champion sustainability, creativity, and community through what we do. And we aim to leave a positive impact on the world, our customers, and our team. So you might have noticed in that statement, I tied together the vision and the mission. That's because the two are inextricably linked. The vision is where you're going, and the mission is how you're getting there. Together, your mission statement and your brand vision are the big picture of what you're doing. So whenever you need to pull your head out from the nitty-gritty of a day-to-day task, you can look to that massive objective that you have, how you're going to get there, why you're getting there, and where you're going. Take Patagonia, for example. Their mission statement is to build the best product, cause no unnecessary harm, use business to inspire, and implement solutions to the environmental crisis. Big picture stuff. As another example, TED, the company behind TED Talks, has a mission statement, spread ideas, right? Their vision statement is, we believe passionately in the power of ideas to change attitudes, lives, and ultimately the world. So the vision is what they believe in, the mission is how they're going to get there. Another key component of your brand are your brand values. These are the North Star of what you do. The things that you care about the most that you can tell your customer and point to whenever it is you need to check if something's right or wrong for your brand. Your brand values are actionable principles that are important for your business and show what you stand for or believe in. While the vision explains where you're going and the mission statement is how you're going to get there, your brand values serve to show you how you're going to act along the way. Those values will play a key part in how you achieve your mission because they're the core of what your brand believes in. It's really important to identify clearly what your brand values are, so you always have something to check back on if you ever have a question about whether or not something you're doing fits in with your brand and your brand's values. Making your brand values as open and as transparent as possible will also build trust with your customers, which is a key part of building a brand. As an example, Patagonia has 4 key brand values. Number 1, build the best product. Number 2, cause no unnecessary harm. Number 3, use business to protect nature. Number 4, not bound by convention. So the 3, pretty obviously actionable, and the 4th allows you for some play, right? Not bound by convention is a key value that they have. How cool is that? If you need help figuring out what your brand identity is, there's a really cool tool called the 12 brand archetypes. That splits archetypes into things like the lover, the jester, the sage. They all give you an idea of maybe where you could fit in and how your identity can make you different. If you look at the 12 brand archetypes, it'll help you to figure out what your voice, your personality, and your identity are as a brand. Your brand personality goes into every single piece of communication that you have, whether it be with customers or with potential customers or partners. Your brand personality is who you are as a brand. It's how you interact. For instance, me, I'm very vocal and expressive. That could be a brand personality. You could be an open, loving brand. You could be a wise brand, giving advice. You could be so many different things. Next up is your brand positioning strategy. Now, this is a bit more of a complex concept and a little bit harder to explain, but essentially, your brand positioning strategy is what differentiates your brand from other brands. How you position your brand in the market is as important as having a solid brand identity to fall back on. For example, if you want to make shoes and you just copy Nike's brand, not just saying like just do it, but their entire ethos, people will cotton onto that pretty quick and it won't actually make you any better as a brand to follow. So identifying where it is you want to position your brand is as important as having a unique brand identity. Your brand positioning also relates to how people perceive your brand. So you've got a reputation to uphold whether you want to cultivate it or not. People think about your brand in a certain way, and everything you can do to influence that perception, whether it be through anything from like your customer service to shipping really quickly or having a great outgoing marketing campaign, whatever it is. Some brand positioning strategies include customer service, a convenience-based position, a price-based positioning strategy, quality-based positioning strategy, or a product differentiation strategy. Those are some of the core positioning strategies that you can use to identify where your brand sits. Last but certainly not, oh my God. Certainly not least. Last but certainly not least is something that we harp on a lot, but it's super important. It's your consistency. Consistency of all of these things, brand mission, vision, values, positioning, all of that's included in your brand identity is incredibly important because it sets the tone for how your brand is perceived. At the end of the day, if you're changing up your values on a day-to-day basis or figuring out your positioning strategy, changing from one day to the next, it can be really hard for a customer to actually identify with your brand identity. If Nike changed their mission every 2 days, we wouldn't know what they stand for. If Patagonia changed their mission every 2 days, you wouldn't know if you could trust them as a brand. So keeping your brand identity, your messaging, your positioning, all of that stuff consistent is incredibly important as you go and build your brand and make it the best it can possibly be. What's that? It's time for an armchair FAQ? Welcome to this episode's Armchair FAQs. Today's question, are our stickers waterproof? The short answer is no. The longer answer is that we've decided not to put a plastic coating on the stickers to make them as eco-friendly as possible. With a paper base and a non-toxic adhesive coating, our stickers can be composted. It's a small price to pay for sustainability. Stick around. Maybe you'll learn a thing or two. Well, thanks for stopping by and watching the whole video. We've got a great blog post on the same subject if you want to learn a little bit more. That link is in the description below. And I hope you learned something about brand identity and why it's so important to create one and keep it consistent. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, at the end of the day. Look, nobody likes one egg. We all like eggs by the dozen. So make sure you share with at least 12 friends. Hey, if you like the video, keep it to yourself.